Loot.bet, made for live betting.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the broadcast. Of course, third and final map of the series. Youngsters versus Ad Hoc, a 16-8 on Nuke, a 16-7 on Mirage. It all comes down to Train, arguably the best map for Youngsters that we've seen in most recent times, but is that missing gap of Techcheck going to play an influence? Well, we'll find out, but Ad Hoc, we know that definitely on Train, they took Advocatic to a pretty good challenge. It was double OT. Unfortunately, didn't go in their favor, but we know they can play this map as well, so it seems like we're in for maybe more of an interesting ordeal than what we've seen already, even despite the two one-sided maps.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we're hoping, right? Both teams have shown that they've got potential to take over a game, however, so it will be interesting to see. Namely speaking, though, on the T side of things, again, we're coming into another CT-sided map, just behind Nuke on, how CT-sided it is generally considered. But these two teams have kind of thrown all the general convention out the window. And ultimately, I think it comes down to momentum, comes down to confidence. Getting off to that good start can really help, both of these teams for sure. And I believe with Ad Hoc choosing the CT side of things, it's not swapped over at the top, but it has swapped. Okay, now it has. Okay, cool. But yeah, I think maybe if they can get a grasp on the economy, that seems to be what both teams have struggled with quite heavily on both maps, is just getting a foot in the door on that CT side, at least when they start on the CT side. So hopefully if they can have that happen, if they can get off to that good start, then Ad Hoc could indeed, end up steamrolling this one once again. But that's not what we're after. We're after a close showing here, guys. So give us some exciting rounds, boys.
Yeah, we want to see what both of these teams can do. We've not seen anything go, fully to the wire, fully nitty-gritty as of yet. That's something we're definitely looking to see happen. Marley, I'm loving the aggression out of him, but Pasha's going to be able to counter it early into this round already. The rest of the side, though, Pasha being like the more of a roamer on this side, going to be looking for the information, but it's Alexa that again pops up when he's needed, closing down the first kill, trading back into the 4 versus 4, and that does give at least a beautiful time for peek, and Alexa is going to utilize that effectively. Shane going to be the second man to fall. This now makes things a lot more easier, especially with a bomb site being split by Pasha. They will realize, eventually close him down, but again, the battle's going on. Popdog to be controlled, Patrick at least to take out Tudson, but Morals again to return fire. He's now into a 1-on-3, though surely a situation that unfortunately isn't going to be winnable for him, and it seems like Ad Hoc, they might have just got themselves that opening pistol round to kickstart their CT side, something that I don't think we've yet to see.
Oh, this fight is so very awkward here for Morals. Okay, what? I don't quite understand what's happened here. He is going to turn it back around, which is kind of smart, but unfortunately, he was low HP there. I think eventually, with both CTs coming in from the same angle, it was not really going to be doable for him. Yeah, this is really the player that made the difference. Alex with a nice few frags coming in, really opening up for his team. Although it does come down to the wire, Ad Hoc are able to get that pistol on the board, and with no bomb plant for the T's either, they're going to force buy up here, but it's not really a terribly strong one. Again, Tudson kind of ecoing things down as much as possible, so to speak, just because he's saving for that AWP, of course.
And that's the one valuable aspect that youngsters know they can utilize as well as Tudson's AWP. He's been a solid player so far in the series. Has definitely looked like the more competent, consistent AWPer on the side. Pasha this time onto the scout himself. Not going to be getting or too much of an opportunity as of yet. Marley, though, he's already tagging Morels, but even so, Marley, he's going to be the first man to fall. The Deagle, nice little opener to ensure the first kill, but look at Patrick. Knife in the back of Shane. An easy money bonus to be delivered. Ocalicious finds one in return at least, but Patrick again to make sure that the balance does stay level. 55 seconds on the clock. Bomb is down in that favor of the CT side. 2 players to rotate over from Ivy just to ensure that they at least have a little more depth when they try and retrieve this bomb, but very hard situation to manage for sure. Patrick going to be playing that close position, and whilst Morels does look to challenge him, that smoke down going to cause a real nuisance. We know that Morels likes to push through those, but in this situation, definitely not the time to be doing so. Alexa on that scout, sees it in hand, has to be careful. Again, Morels able to impact so much with this Desert Eagle and will take out another kill. This now gets risky. Time is ticking, but Ocalicious, he'll find one more. Now returned into a 1-on-2, but are they going to be able to manage it? Well, no, they're not. Youngsters, they'll win a force by a very patient round, to say the least, and it's back to square one for Ad Hoc.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened recently. You know, we saw all this great structure from Ad Hoc over on the first map, and then in Mirage, they lost quite a few anti-eco, anti-force buy kind of scenarios, you know, rounds that we ultimately expect them to win. And it seems the trend continues here, and it really could make the difference across the course of this series. It's very surprising, to say the least. Youngsters are happy to get away with that one, especially because, you know, with that force buy, if they'd have lost it, would have been a relatively clean 3-0 for Ad Hoc, but not going to be the case. And right back into proceedings. Patrick's got an M4, but other than that, not a great deal to write home about, in all honesty. I mean, yeah, the money really not great at all. Trying to get that M4 into a decent position so he can find an opener, but easier said than done. Maybe, just maybe, if Morals comes around this corner. Meanwhile, there's a lot of action going on towards Ivy, towards Old Bomb. Smoke in the way as well, but both CT's going to look to boost up here and maybe push through as well. Not quite. I mean, Patrick picked up one in A main, but he's immediately traded back. Doesn't get enough pressure, so a 4-on-2 ensues relatively quickly, making a 3-on-2. That's a frag you would not have expected David K to pick up, but he's now the only one left. Does have his hands onto an AK, but they know exactly where he is. He's taking a hell of a lot of damage here as well. Looks like he is just going to back off, save the AK if he can.
Yeah, and a smart way to go about it. Unfortunately, Bomb is lost, but can be retrieved, giving Ad Hoc the chance now to, please, like you said, save that rifle, put the weapon at least into the next round. But Youngsters able to get a couple consecutive now and should be able to make the third as well. They do have that AK to be carried over if it does, though, or if it does so, do it. But it's such a, again, another scrappy start to a game. Very, very interesting to see, like you said, the amount of force buys and anti-eco rounds that have gone really unexpectedly for both of these teams, realistically. It's giving free rounds left, right, and center, but this time maybe a little bit of stability to come. We know in the second half of Mirage, it was Ad Hoc that won the pistol. Youngsters win a force buy, and then Ad Hoc win their force buy. Thankfully, nothing of the sorts this time, and at least some structure, but even so, with a second round on the board for Youngsters, now looking for the third and looking to make it 3-1. Decent start on the T side yet again for this Youngsters side, and we'll see what they can deliver once it comes down to that first gun round. Ad Hoc do have a very nice CT side, but again, with the sporadics of this game, it's so up and down. It's crazy so far.
Yeah, definitely say that again. It is really, really unpredictable at the moment. And that just seems to be the way the series has gone. It's been relatively messy because I think we've got, you know, a bit of a clash of styles here where Youngsters don't have that in-game leader like we've been saying. And, I mean, at the end of the day as well, I feel they're not 100% structured as a squad. Usually, they rely on this firepower. Meanwhile, Ad Hoc, they like the structure, they like the methodical approach, and although it worked out on the first map when they had a pretty strong advantage, it definitely does seem that as Youngsters have become warmer and a bit more comfortable around each other, they are, in fact, you know, performing really, really well and just picking it up, and the potential for pretty much all 5 players here to have great solo plays and, you know, find the individual openings in rounds It's really difficult to deal with for Ad Hoc at the end of the day. Not really expecting a great deal in this round, and that's exactly how it goes. Alex are going to be the only one left, as Marley, sure, he picks up one, but at this point in time, the T economy is relatively strong. Not crazy, but they can definitely stomach the one death, rather. Oh, maybe two. That's actually going to be a bit more costly, to be honest. Pasha and Morals and Okalicious are pretty comfortable, but they would like, a flawless round to come in here in this rifle round. Because, if they end up losing it, or if they end up losing the vast majority of their players, it is going to be actually really costly for them.
That's the one thing the CT side can definitely bring to light, is just doing that damage in those eco rounds. Fortunately, Youngsters did have a build-up of that money, so not going to be as fully affected. Again, first rifle round out of Ad Hoc, and a one that they genuinely have to begin to perform on, just for the fact that, again, this T side could really start to come to fruition. And Morels, he's going to open things up so incredibly. Tudson, he'll find a further two, and now it gets from bad to worse. But Patrick, positioning is good. Should be able to at least take out one kill, and he knows if the second man inside of Pop Dog as well. The timing is good, and David K, he'll be able to chime in for a kill of his own as well. But Okalicious, making light work of the first, shuts down the second. Youngsters, they're on a 4-1. Again, taking such a solid T-side beginning. Ad Hoc, once again, down to those unfortunate pistols. Whilst they can go for a little bit of a semi-buy with some pistols and Kevlar, it seems like the second map is repeating its endeavors, with Youngsters taking a T-side lead that Ad Hoc are really going to be hard to contend by.
Still time, though, and at this point, I have to say there is maybe a little bit more of a competitive nature from the CT side. But again, okay, how the hell did that miss? I didn't even notice. I forget on this UI you don't spot the Zeuses until you kind of swap across to them. But all the same, I'm not really sure how that missed. But as I was saying, it is just kind of a case of the CT economy, again, not able to get a solid grasp on it. Just, I don't know, really struggling to string rounds together, of course, and struggling to save weapons, etc. So they're just constantly on the back foot for sure. That's like inches, man.
He's been a little hard done by there.
For sure.
Fortunately, Ad Hoc, they do have that purchase now. The one time in this game where it has looked a little more clear-cut and clarified for them. Double AWP setup out of the CT side, and we'll see what they can deliver. They've had this in the past, and it's worked out fairly well. So far, Youngsters, again, looking so strong on this T side. 10k both on Okalicious and Morels at this point, starting to really build up that bank. But Morels, again, a utility criminal at this point, not even a smoke criminal. The way that he pushes off of the back of those flashbangs, the mollies, he works it beautifully. And even with a return fire back by the CT side, Pasha again able to make the advantage greater. Still, I think Patrick did spot Tudson close of that smoke, and yes, he definitely did, looking to take the peak again, but still the fight being brought back. Traded into a 2-on-2 by David K, but damage done to Syke, and they know of his position at least, and Pasha, he's been able to move through the smoke. Of course, won't be spotting Syken just yet, thanks to him being fairly well protected. David K's AUG could really hit home hard if he spots out the angles. Shane, they make light work of him, and that's down into a 1-on-2. The bomb will look to be planted. Surely Syken able to deny this. He's going to play fairly calm, though. Allow the bomb to go all the way. Does deny the plant eventually, though, and with Pasha now down into that 1-on-1, he does get dropped down to 53. Surely Syken here to hold the advantage, even puts himself on middle bomb train. This is a smart way to go about things. Doesn't know the whereabouts yet, but definitely will, and a beautiful play out of Syken. Very masterful in that 1-on-2 to bring it to light, and Ad Hoc, they get a second round off it.
Yeah, it does seem really cool, calm, and collected, Syken, honestly. Really good stuff from him. Across the course of, I think, all three maps, I remember some good clutches from him coming in on Nuke, specifically, when they obviously had a bit more confidence, a bit more control. But again, as we've said, you know, it is a CT-sided map, but not quite as CT-sided as Nuke. So I think they can definitely be happy that they have managed to pull things back a little bit. If they can string some together now, that's kind of what it's all about. If they can string them together, then suddenly Ad Hoc, it doesn't look as bad. And again, we have seen they have a lot more T-side strength than CT strength, it seems. Nice little follow of the traces coming in from Marley. Double dink onto Okalicious takes him out pretty quickly. So that's a nice opener. Meanwhile, Morals thought he had the drop, but Syken comes in, peekaboo from the side to clean him up. So now a 5-on-3, a pretty hefty advantage for Ad Hoc. I think information heard in at Pop Dog as well, so they have a vague idea where the T's are coming from at this point in time, if they didn't already. But we'll see. They've still got this AWP in play. Fairly strong weapons as well for the T side. Alex saw a little bit of a late reaction from him, actually gets the leg, but David K and Syken able to both chime in at the same time, and unfortunately too many angles to be dealing with for the T's, and it's an easy cleanup. It did look a little bit weird, honestly, from Alexa, for sure, but all the same, third round for Ad Hoc, and if they can take this one, it's going to be a broken T economy. So suddenly, there is a light at the end of the tunnel that seems to be getting closer.
Yeah, and thankfully for Ad Hoc, it wasn't too little too late this time. Seen resurgences out of them in the previous map, but it was only once Youngsters had way too many rounds to contend with. Well, this time they've got a beautiful chance to bring that to light now. The fact that this time, Youngsters, again, like you said, can be broken for this next one. It's vital to keep themselves in the game so far. And Ad Hoc, they've learned from their mistakes. I remember last time when they were playing on Train, they were playing a solo B setup, which was really, unfortunately, not working out for them this time. With both Alexa and David K on the B bomb site, it's way more adjusted to the situation. They've learned now that it's way more effective with this second man in support. And Tudson exactly gets called off of it. David K to close out the first. Okalicious does trade back, but again, much better reactions out of Alexa this time. Into that 4 versus 2. Shane looking to wrap around from back of middle bomb. He's almost done the full roundabout there. Alexa gets out safe with the support out of Patrick, and that's going to see a 4-on-1 to contend with. Ad Hoc, they are looking way better now. Like you said, with the economy lacking in areas for Youngsters, this surely gives the CT side the chance to tie things up here.
Yeah, it suddenly becomes a little bit more spicy. We're getting the close game that we were hoping for. So let's see. Where do we go from here, Youngsters? Going to go for the half by aiming ultimately to get the bomb down. Do some damage. Would be a very good result if they can get 2 or 3 kills plus a bomb plant. A lot of aggression towards Ivy as well, kind of forcing them into the hands of the pistols with the mollies and whatnot. There's 4 players outside here to supposedly deal with this push. So far, a 1-for-1 and actually an AWP retrieved. Great smokes coming in as well to give them a hell of a lot more control. And again, keeping them guessing. Are they going to wrap from CT towards B? Does look like that's going to be the case. Alexa drops 1, knows that Sean is there as well. Spotted him crossing. In comes David K from behind. And it does seem no shenanigans coming in. For just a second, you thought maybe, good utility usage. Although, Pasha's still alive here. Did manage to find one, but not quite another. Patrick takes him down pretty quickly. Surviving with the bare minimum of 3, I think the CTs can be happy, and no bomb plant for Youngsters is actually a very good result for Ad Hoc, so really starting to believe that they could, turn this half on its head.
Yeah, I think for the first time in this series, they've actually forced a maybe tactical pause out of Youngsters, giving them a little bit to talk about, even with Morel's already on double-figure digits for his kills. Still not going to be able to guide the team to as much success this time. At least we know that Train is going to be the closest half that we've had so far, with the 13-2 in the first, the 11-4 in the second. This one at least going to be ending 10-5 at the maximum. The way that this third in the series has gone so far, it should be way more balanced. Youngsters this time, by to come, of course, full rifles. Unfortunately, no AWP for either Tudson or Pasha. Not going to be a possibility. You might even see Pasha pick up the Krieg. That's something that Youngsters have shown in the past they do have good aim with, but at least 5 rifles across the board. Decent utility as well, so not too bad of a purchase to come in. I think Train is really starting to play on the minds of Youngsters now. It's the one map in this series where realistically they need Techik as that in-game leader to survive. The first was blown out of the water too quickly. The second was a beautiful resurgence, but this third, when it comes down to it, when the battles are close, this is where Youngsters really start to fare their chances here. And Alexa is already going to close out Morels. At least some damage returned back to David K, but Even so, it is looking good so far for Ad Hoc. If they take away this round, then again, youngsters, they're back down to square one. Syken, the double drop into Pop, it's going to return absolutely nothing for the T side. And already a 5-on-2 with only 35 seconds gone in the round. This is such a beautiful play from Ad Hoc, and they're going to take the lead.
Oh, great flick as well from Alex R. I mean, just completely revitalized at the moment, looking really, really good. As youngsters, this is kind of the issue, right? They have this very one-track style of play, aggressive in your face, just fragging, really, trying to win the 1v1s, and didn't work on Nuke, worked really, really well on Mirage. And then, obviously, coming into this, it's kind of been up and down. And the issue that we're seeing here is, it's worked a little bit, and we now have the third scenario of playing this one-track kind of style, and that is, what do you do when it stops working in the mid-game? They weren't able to get it started at all, then it was actually highly successful, and now it's problematic because they have proven that they can pick up rounds using this methodology, but what do you do now? What do you do to pick things back up? And Pasha left in this 1v5, does manage to find one, but again, immediately traded. No craziness coming in. Ad Hoc going to take the lead, and it is looking really, really good right now for the majority German side. I believe there is a Swiss in there in the form of Mali, but all the same, they're looking really, really strong. And youngsters, this is where you would take a pause. This is where you would figure out, right, how are we going to get one round back to stop the momentum of the CTs? But again, lack of in-game leader, lack of a solid structure, generally speaking, as well. They're maybe just going to keep banging their heads against the wall and hoping for the best.
And unfortunately, it seems like they're returning to youngsters of old. I mean, when we saw them in Summer Smash, I think they were eliminated 0-3 in the Swiss bracket, unfortunately, and it was coming down to some of the players they had. They weren't particularly well versed in playing the style. They didn't have a clear-cut in-game leader. It seems like, again, we're back down to that sort of issue where they don't have any structure, as you mentioned, and yeah, unfortunately, it seems to be hitting youngsters harder than ever in this third map, and Patrick, he'll make light work of 2 already. The force buy surely not amounting to anything for youngsters, with no damage delivered as of yet. Aggressiveness out of Patrick, not going to spot the bomb just yet, but if he gets another kill, that is essentially everything in the round already gone. Pasha will look for the peak and find nothing off it. The chance of an ace as well there. Does take out 4. A beautiful eco display out of him. Oculicious will retrieve an AK to work with, but even so, it is now 7-5. Next gun round of youngsters going to be vital for them to keep themselves in this first half, or else we should be seeing at least a 9-6 or a 10-5 finish. Either of which being a much better resurgence out of Ad Hoc, and way so far that they've been altercating themselves on this CT side. It's looked miles better than what we saw even in that first map. In the first map where they dominated so greatly. It wasn't the CT side that we saw much of. It was the T side that really reigned supreme, and now we're finally getting to see what they can do on their CT side, and honestly, it's been pretty stellar so far.
Yeah, and that's kind of where the scariness comes in for youngsters, right? If they can get up to a strong lead here on the CT side of things, we know what they're capable of on their T side. So youngsters really going to have to fight back. Like you say, this next rifle round, this current rifle round, is very, very important. Need to find some kind of an opener. Oh, and Patrick, lucky to get away, gets legged, I believe, maybe shot through a wall. All the same, Tudson is robbed of the opening frag. At the very least, does get that damage in, gets the information in. Patrick, though, very confident, holding a somewhat aggressive angle, considering he's on 16 HP. Flash going to go in, no, they're just looking to keep them back. Meanwhile, over at Ivy, David K does not fancy hard holding, as it were. Going to give them the control, or so it seems. They smoke him out, but they're not going to be smoking out the AWP that is here. What can Alex R get done? Not very much, it would seem. It's David K that chimes in, finds the opener. He's unsure, though, whether there's any more players around, because it's tough to understand. Flash comes through, they line up. He's only able to find one, though. A second from Alex R. Beautiful stuff coming in. Patrick will get taken down eventually, but it's a 4 versus 2 before that happens.
Looking like such a solid round again out of Ad Hoc. Tudson, he's trying to sway the odds a little bit here. Down into a 2-on-2 now, and Syken read this incredibly well. They knew that he was going to be in Pop Dog, smoked him off now, and that allows the bomb to be retrieved. 15 seconds on the clock. They do have to make a little bit of a move. They're going to boost up Marley and force him find an angle peek, but again, they line up for him. Not able to convert this time. Tudson, it has to be the 4K to take the victory. As they get themselves onto the bomb, looking to line up. Marley somehow able to escape the wrath and actually gets on top of Brown Train, takes him down, and that's a beautiful little piece of display. Marley keeping his side in the game in the round, and that'll be an 8-5 again. Youngsters, these rounds coming so incredibly close, but just not able to go in their favor. It's much like we saw on Nuke, where Ad Hoc, they were making the 2-on-2s, the 1v1s, but they just weren't able to close them out. And this time it's Youngsters that are facing that deficit, but again, a full buy out of the bomb plant and the round loss bonus amounting to give them a plentiful purchase yet again. Tudson does have to take the glass cannon AWP, so a little bit inhibited, but you know how good an AWP can be without Kevlar or even with, so not too bad thus far. But Ad Hoc, they've already confirmed a victory in the first half, and it's onwards and upwards. See if they can make this the maximum amount of 10 rounds. Doing so would spell such a solid start to this first half and really put Youngsters on the back foot. I mean, not that they're not already. They're heavily inhibited in this map, especially without tech check, but Ad Hoc, of course, it's all about keeping them limited, and so far they've done exactly that, even with the 5 rounds gained so far. But Morels, he'll open up first. Alexa with a trade, though.
We'll see here whether they can find anything substantial on either side, really. It's all kind of even at this point in time. They do maybe have a bit more pressure over towards Ivy, I suppose. Alex are unsure whether there's a player around. Nice little bit of damage coming in. Meanwhile, Marley with that second AWP will take down Ocalicious. So now the advantage comes in. And the issue kind of is, you know, the bomb is quite far away. Youngsters not really able to group up and try and, you know, outnumber a site itself for 3v2 on either side that they choose. However, Morals has gotten in behind here. Oh, he gets spotted out the worst time. It was looking great for him, but unfortunately not going to come into fruition. However, the fact that he's there, the fact that he's distracting, that's enough. It's a 2K that comes in almost a 3. At the very least, the CTs have brought it back into a 2-on-2 just before the bomb goes down. Kit's available. Unfortunately, the 100 HP player falls. It's all onto Alexa. Brings it into a 1-on-1. But this would be a great round for Youngsters to win. Sean has got it all to do. Just hidden away underneath Heaven, just right next to the bomb site. Is Alex are going to be expecting this, playing the contact style. He's actually moved up in towards Heaven now, so yeah, it's a fairly easy one. As that bomb ticks down, he just has to peek out at the right moment. Low HP, just 1 bullet required. So Youngsters finally put a stop to the tear that Ad Hoc had been on. The question now is, A, can they string some together? And B, is it perhaps too little too late?
I think I make it 8-7. There's definitely a way back in for them, I think, at this point, with Ad Hoc at least getting plenty of rounds on the CT side. I mean, Youngsters 6 is still a very good scoreline to finish off with, but 7 would definitely allow them that very quick insight back into the game, especially if pistol round was to go in their favor, but it at least limits the damage. Even if they were to lose pistol in the second, that would give more of a 10-7, maybe 11-7 scoreline before Ad Hoc, or before Youngsters can rebuy again. But this time an entry out of Patrick. Shane able to reserve fire, but Marley again to make light work of him. And that's the one thing that Ad Hoc, they've looked so much better on this map compared to the others about getting those trades. As soon as the first man falls, they're always looking for the reply, always looking for the way back in. They've been able to find it more times than not thus far. This time, finally, Youngsters focusing fully toward the B bomb site. One of the only times in this first half that we've actually seen them at least go toward this B site. It's been more through Ivy, more through main. David Kate going to be as expectant as ever, as the support of Alexa, and again a tag from him, a second. Close out the bullets, and Ocalicious, whilst he does return one bomb to be planted. Falls no move out of Alexa, though. He's wise enough to know he has a support coming in from ramp, and the Molotov that goes down, it will play no effect. Ocalicious now into a 1-on-3. If he had an AK, maybe he'd be able to do this, but a Galil, it's so random with the spray, gets so caught off once you start to fire, and again, As that smoke is down onto the bomb, trying to force him out. He misses the spray, gives up the position, and there's Mali to shut him down, 9-6. And again, very solid round out of Ad Hoc that sees them at least going into the second half with a nice barrier to contend with as they swap over to that T side.
Yeah, definitely looking really good there, Ad Hoc. Picking things up after a shaky start, 5 in a row, as you can see. You know, they got reset after the pistol. Really was not ideal for them, but hopefully, you know, they can pick it up on that T side as well. We know what they're capable of on their T side, so I'm excited to see where it goes for sure.
Yeah, and definitely this is going to be an interesting end to what has already been a jam-packed series, but of course we'll start in the second half up. Third and final map here on Train after a short commercial break, brought to you by the sponsor Loot.bet.
Loot.bet. Made for live betting.
And of course, here it is, the deciding half of this entire series. To see whether or not these sides will dip down into that 0-2 bracket, start to get really close to elimination. That's the scary part for whoever loses this one. Fight from Ad Hoc is now on. They want to survive. It's T-side to begin the pistol round. This is going to be an interesting pistol just because they've already split out toward main. A faster approach. A spam out of Shane, though. That's a really nice first kill already. A free one for them, but Patrick to return it, though. Back into a 4-on-4. Pasha's damage. Bomb is already planted. What a rapid round this has been so far.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. Ad Hoc certainly feeling the confidence, that is for sure. A messy fight there for Pasha. He does win it, but obviously it cost him his life in the end. Sean coming in from the side, a quick headshot to bring it back into a 2-on-2. There is a kit in his hands as well as a smoke. The bomb plant kind of gives away the fact that there's probably a player towards Pop Dog. Unfortunately, Ocalicious kind of opts to neglect checking the spot, and it's a little bit anticlimactic. As a clean shot from Sean, he gets traded very quickly. Not really ever able to find an opening there on the CT side of things, and Ad Hoc therefore going to be off to a very good start once again.
And with that pistol behind them, providing that they don't do what we've seen throughout this series and lose the second round, they should at least be able to project themselves up to that 12-6 scoreline. There is a couple of scouts in the defense, though, and that's where it gets absolutely terrifying. Tudson and Shane. Oh dear, oh dear. Here we go again into a 5-on-3 with already 2 kills found. Thankfully, Alexa will add a little bit more consistency to this side. Take out 1 in the defense. The way that Ocalicious is set up now, though, he'll have the Eekers advantage over Alexa, and the distance with that MAC-10 is never going to fare. Now down to the AK and the UMP. Thankfully, David K again has managed to return 1 in his favor, but once more drop down low. The rifle finally to come to fruition, but he might get caught out. He's got his back turned, and Ocalicious seems aware of it. Oh my god, takes out the bomb planter. These have been some absolutely manic rounds. Marley takes out the first. Nose of Ocalicious, catches him on the land. And he's thankful, or the rest of his side should be, that he got both of those kills, or else we're back to a messy square one again with another force buy being won, but this time, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with Ad Hoc. They really seem to be struggling against these kind of second round force buys specifically, but just force buys in general, to be honest. Really making that one difficult. Thankfully, like you say, the individual steps up. Marley, no picture, bro, but he seems to be fairly effective. And we'll see here. As youngsters, pretty much no money in the bank. A couple deagles rather, and a P250. Pasha already getting taken down, though, and it was more of a B stack, so not really looking doable for youngsters. So it will be Ad Hoc, most likely doubling the scoreline of their opponents. The question kind of at this point is, how many people are they going to survive with going into round number 19? It does look really good. And yeah, I don't know, man. I just think they're able to bounce back on that CT side using that momentum, although it was kind of, shut down a little bit towards the end. Only a tiny little bit, honestly. I just feel, like I said earlier on in that first half, youngsters, they need to change something up here on this CT side. The aggressive, super aggressive style on the CT side especially is really not ideal. But maybe on train it can be. Let's see, some aggression towards the brown holes, some aggression maybe up Pop Dog, and the classics being Ivy and A main definitely could work out for youngsters. But I want to see some proactivity coming into this first rifle round. They're just resting on their laurels, picking passive positions. I think they are going to end up losing it.
And that's the thing, the more this side sits back, especially with the talent they have, the aimers they do have in this side, like you said, the more they sort of bring a laissez-faire approach, more that they are going to suffer off of it. This time, he said the Pop Dog aggression at least to be shown temporarily. Morrow's going to play fairly close, wants to have that drop down, something that youngsters did in their T side up to no avail. Morel, so that's better. Able to close out Patrick, the first kill into the favor of youngsters. The one thing they need to be guaranteeing at least a majority of these rounds is that the entry does go in their favor. That's the way in for them in this scenario. Thankfully, something they have got under their belt this time. Marley, though, not affected by the flash. Again, a peek out of Shane. This is what we like to see. Able to close out one more, but as soon as they find a kill somewhere, someone else across the map makes a vital mistake and they offer themselves a free trade. Alex, or it's back down to 48 points to help, but with an AWP, he's going to be at least still pretty sweet for now. There's a lot of time left in this round. They do have the 3 rifles to work with on the CT side, though. The AWP definitely going to play a big part in this one. The survival of youngsters is vital. Losing this might just spell 13, well, definitely a 13th, a 14th, potentially the money of that CT side. The scary part for them, not being able to build up a bank, and comes down to the last 20 seconds here in this round. With Marley still across from this A bomb site, he can at least catch the rotate or keep them locked in if he plays the information position. Well, he'll take down Shane, already weakening the defenses, and they think it's the A bomb site now. They've still got the man of Tudson inside of Connector. Rockalicious again to respond. The time is just within the barrier of getting that bomb plant, though. It might have looked a little out of reach there, but they do make it confirmed. But the man inside of heaven, Tudson already on the aggression, and as they take out the first, they know where the second is. A very nice hold by Ad Hoc. Youngsters a little aggro on the retake, maybe could have slowed down, but Ad Hoc, they'll take it 13-6, and now at least a semi-buy out of youngsters that should guarantee 14.
Yeah, definitely playing with fire there. As you said, just within the realms of being able to get that bomb down. But again, I mean, youngsters, they get off to a good start. They find the opening pick. They look comfortable, and then it just kind of falls apart. And a nice little read kind of play. Sure, they sacrifice one over at B, but it leaves the CTs confused enough that they're able to get the bomb down on A. So Ad Hoc just seemed to be one step ahead. That is a beautiful opener from Marley as well. Really feeling it at the moment. Definitely, as I'd said, there's been some big names across, especially more so on the youngsters side, who seem to be consistently fragging across all 3 maps. Marley has really stepped it up, at the very least on the T side. A name I think we've been seeing on the kill feed quite often at this point in time. Meanwhile, the bomb goes down on B. And although they do have, some kind of strong weapons in there, don't really think with the lack of utility, the lack of kits, that youngsters stand a chance here. So it does look like Ad Hoc going to get up to that 14th. And unfortunately, we were hoping for the close competitive train because it's a comfort map for both teams. But Ad Hoc, again, they get off to that good start. They find the momentum and they're able to just carry it through.
You just summed up the entire series there. It's been so momentum-based. It's crazy. Like, it's one of the more one-sided yet 3-map series I think we've seen in a long time. This sort of level, but maybe even Windstrike Gambit Youngsters could match that. I know we saw that in previous game. I think it was maybe 8 rounds across 3 maps or something for their opponents. But yeah, it was pretty back and forward, but definitely not as crazy as this one. I think with the maps we've had as well, we should have seen closer games for sure. I mean, Nuke is one that CT sides always should be able to perform on and at least guarantee 8 rounds or so. And Train as well, like you said, it's meant to be that map that both of these teams feel comfortable on, but unfortunately it's not the case so far for Youngsters. Definitely feeling the missingness or the empty gap that Techcheck currently is leaving, and the Occulticious aggression, it's going to amount to nothing. It was a pretty risky move that never would have paid off, and that already gives them a free 5-on-4 to work with. The Ivy aggression to be taken by Pasha, at least putting himself a little closer up, trying to catch the first off guard. There is the AWP in that B bomb site though, but Alex able to peek under his crosshair, take out the second, even with Pasha's trade. That's on the entire other side of the map now. And whilst the rotate is being called, they're already pushing that oil train. They're already getting themselves in such a valid anti or after plant position, and should be no conceivable way back in for Youngsters unless Morel's beautiful first kill off of the back. Shane finds the second. This is looking better now. They've isolated 2 players, and all that it's left is Alexa and David K burning in the molly. Spots out the first, but a trade back again. It's all down to David K though. Do they realize it? He's going to be coming from the same position. Well, time is ticking. Flash is good.
Oh.
It looks like Shane is better. They'll land the defuse. 14-7, and Youngsters, they put a round back on the board.
Yeah, that was a hella close one. David K managed to find, you look at this, like the exact same frame almost. The bullets go off. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe if he'd have waited, but he kind of needs to be a bit proactive, and obviously doesn't quite have the same information available to him in terms of HPs and things like that we do. But nonetheless, it's again, one of those kind of consolation rounds, just sort of saving their dignity. It still does look like Ad Hoc are going to be taking things if, everything goes back to the way it was. It is up to Youngsters to really disrupt the flow of play at this point in time. They're going to need to really switch things up in the same way that Ad Hoc did, though, back in that first half. Sean going to open up, but he does lose a fair chunk of HP. Pasha here, tucked away just beyond the server. That's a bit awkward for him, though, showing his knee across the corner, I think, and spotted out maybe, I wouldn't say the barrel of the MP9, but all the same, they had an inkling that he was there. They take him down. They bring it back into a doable 4 versus 4. And with a minute or so remaining, the world is their oyster at this point. As you can see, they've really slowed things down just to keep the CTs guessing in terms of where they're actually taking that bomb. And I think they're going to go for a B split looking at it. I think that would definitely be a wise decision as well, especially with that smoke coming in. However, Morals is here, picks up 1. Not quite the second, however. So being kept interesting, being kept even by the Ts. Meanwhile, the bomb ready to burst out onto the B bomb site.
Again, it's going to be Marley that's playing that information role across the other side of the map. It's something that has worked in past. Definitely looking to utilize that again, and now that they're taking over toward this B bomb site, Shane at least a little bit aware, but might get caught out with the angles still, though. Gonna work out greatly for them. That bomb is now on the rotate back toward the A bomb site, and again, they might be getting close time, but still, bomb is dropped, and I think the time is already gone. Exactly so it is. Youngsters again winning another round in fairly close fashion. Marley will grab his AWP to carry over. There is still money left in that T side, but it is much better out of Youngsters so far, guaranteeing at least their fight back in this game again. Ad Hoc, the worst part about it is they're not there yet. No 15th round on the board, no overtime security, so the reach, but there's still a way back in for Youngsters. 6 rounds in a row to tie it up, 7 to take the lead. Definitely a long way off, but something that can happen. Tudson spots the first man as well, but a full buyout of Ad Hoc, and this is a very vital round for the T side. They lose this, and Youngsters, they're going to be right back in the game, realistically.
Well. Certainly all to play for. Quite an important round in the grand scheme of things, especially for Youngsters, but also pretty important for Ad Hoc, and that is a nice opener coming in. Off the back of the flashbang, not a chance for Patrick. Syken is waiting here, but the smoke comes in. Really well done here from Youngsters. Picking up the first frag, but then safely allowing Morals to exit so that he isn't easily traded from the player in Pop Dog, which, they didn't know he was there. They're just playing it safe. And it works out perfectly. So a very very good opening pick that they've now, been able to work with for about a minute, and the T's just not able to trade it back. So it's a pretty heavy advantage that looks like it's going to come into play going into, the execute towards the end of the round. So a really, really good, I can't, reiterate enough, a great opening pick coming in from youngsters.
You can see the reaction out of Ad Hoc as well. They've had to slow down again. I think if they'd have found that first, they would have been ready to burst out to the A site a little quicker than expected. A nice reaction out of Syken at least, though. Opens up back into a 4-on-4. Shane taking the position behind Green Train. Will get caught out by Marley. The information transferred a little late, and Tudson, he'll miss the opening shot. This now makes it difficult. Into a 2 versus 2 at least, and Tudson, his trade was vital. Alexa catches Okalicious, just a sheer small percentage of his body showing, but he takes it. And there's Marley to wrap things up. 15-8. Series point confirmed by Ad Hoc. Look at the money of youngsters as well. It's so desolate going into what could be potentially the final round of this entire series. It's all down to MP9s and a scout on Tudson. There's one person you don't want on a deagle. It's Morels. You want him on that weapon. You want him stable. And a solid fragger so far, but it's weak for youngsters. It seems like the turning point might be here. Ad Hoc, a single round needed.
Well then, let's see whether they're able to clean things up. A nice little bit of proactivity coming in from Sean, trying to get aggressive. A great deal of damage done, but not quite able to find Alexa. He does well to survive. Oh my goodness, Okalicious is either about to get absolutely ripped apart, or he could have found all 3. That's so unfortunate. That is so unfortunate. It's pretty damn close. That's kind of the turning point of the round. I think the bomb goes down on B here. Syken's got an aggressive position, and I'm sure they'd love to save, but youngsters, of course, cannot. Comes down to Sean and Tudson, certainly being 2 of the louder fraggers across the course of the series, but this would be something incredible. Not going to happen as Marley actually makes quick work at the end of the 2 of them, but 16-8 overall. Goodness me, Ad Hoc, as it should be, kind of the wrong way around there on the